Hey, what's up, Road to Results family? Hey, Ray here. I'm Ray. You already know Ray. Hey, look, here August 4th through August 5th. Eric, I always say it, and I mentioned in the podcast, hey, yes, I do real estate. Yes, I am in real estate. But I remind people what you do can never be bigger than why you do it. And regardless of that, I feel that I don't enjoy real estate. Enjoying isn't a requirement for getting it done. And why I do everything is for my girl is right here. Like it is my family, it is my purpose. So I move at a pace that I have been successful in real estate through Jamal's Make Real Estate Real and my own application of who I naturally am. Hey, so August 4th and August 5th, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to do an online seminar. You can sign up for it in the link in the description of this podcast. Hey, I'm going to be doing Real Estate 101, how I got started from military to millionaire. Hey, speak those things that aren't as though as if they are. So take the action steps, take necessary if you want to get in, join me for July 25th for about $100 off, and then so we can actually get going, so we can give you the steps necessary to get started. It's not even about the action, it's about why you do it. It's about the person. So you have to become the right person to make this action step successful. So I look forward to seeing you there. Hey, August 4th and August 5th. We'll have opportunity to do some Q&A, answer some questions, some concerns, but give you the fuel you need to go ahead and move forward and start building your portfolio the right way. Let's go.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Road to Results podcast, where we're all about uncovering the mindset journey. I'm Rod, that's Ray, and that's Ray, and I'm Rod. Either way, you slice the pie. And for those of you who are just joining us for the very first time, this is a start. Chapter 1, we call it 52 weeks, 52 episodes of documenting the journey in the UOU Mastermind under the leadership of Dr. Eric Thomas, aka E.T. the Hip Hop Preacher, and associates on all different levels, from business to spiritual development, personal development, relationship management, or relationship development, and everything else of that nature. So excited to be with y'all today. And just as always, we're just gonna do a quick check-in. What's going on? Ray, how you doing, my bro?
What up, big brother, man? I'm doing, working, hustling. I had to, this lovely weekend that we had, somebody decided they had an issue with my mailbox, so they ran over it. So this morning, yeah, man, I mean, for y'all to know, like, I live out here in a little country, got some space, so there's not a whole lot of street lights. So I'm gonna give someone, whoever this culprit may be, if y'all got some information, go ahead and call Kempner PD. Yes, call Kempner PD. I don't know their phone number, but go ahead and give them a call up, give a little tip. But they took out my mailbox and the neighbors, like full on, like. So this morning, I had to do something that I'm not really fond of outside of the gym, manual labor. Yeah. Today's been eventful. Yeah, I had to get out there, and if you're not living in the country, the first time I've been somewhere is like, when I moved in this house, I was like, yo, there's no mailbox, and they're like, yeah, you got to put it in, and I was like how? Like, yo, dig a hole. So did that last year. So this morning I had to go dig up the concrete base that we had, that I put in, because we had to dig like 2.5 feet deep. So I had to dig that out, put a new post in there, dig out the old post, put a new one in there, lay some concrete, put that new post. I got that done early this morning. Then I had to go fix a bed at one of these Airbnbs, because people are also disrespectful or just fully engaged at the in the Airbnbs. Either way, I had to go fix that mess as well.
Fully engaged. So, is that what it's called?
Fully engaged. They're short-term rentals for full-time engagement.
Yeah, knock on wood. So far,
what's up with you, big bro?
No, it's been blessings, bro. Our Airbnb's been doing well itself. Yeah, this past weekend we were in Charlotte we were near Charlotte, outside of Charlotte, Mount Holly, North Carolina. Danielle has some relatives that live out there, and it was cool because they have about 1.25 acres. All right, nothing like your 6, but they got some space, they got some land, and bro, chickens, beehives, all kind of plants, bro. It was like straight farm life, literally, bro. It's like almost 40 something hens. one rooster, and I don't know if you're familiar with like roosters' behaviors, bro, but it's crazy learning the culture
Yeah.
of chickens and roosters. And bro, I was picking up eggs, like AKA my breakfast every morning. We were, yeah, it was cool just learning about chickens and just farming in general and bees and honey and just yeah, it was definitely a breath of fresh air. So a lot of my stories and my posts was just enjoying the nature, enjoying the
Yeah.
peace. I mean, they literally are
Yeah.
like in the country, so it was a
Yeah.
beautiful weekend, man. Beautiful weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, first thing, man, hey, don't do that. You know, comparison is a thief of joy. Don't compare. Secondly, I think I told you, man. You know, as a young individual, me and my pops, we used to fight roosters.
Okay, okay, yeah, that's big in the
So,
Philippines, man. They call it
so
sabong,
yeah,
sabong.
yeah, yeah. They got their own style of doing it too. Like, you know, there's so yes, I'm very familiar with behaviors of roosters and hens in that piece growing up. You know, for different reasons. You know, I'm always on the
Crazy.
aggressive side. But yeah, so it's
Yeah,
yeah,
it was
it bring back
crazy,
some
bro. Like
memories
we
doing
let
that
out,
kind of stuff.
like we let out the chickens, right? So we're like, all right, we're gonna let them out. So we opened up one of the cages or whatever it's called, and then man, rooster came out, bro, protecting his hens, and then all of a
You
sudden they
ready to
all
throw some
just
hands?
yeah, bro, they all just started following my man, and I was like, where they going? And my co was like, off into the woods. I was like, off into the wood. And I was like, I don't even want to. And so yeah, it was just crazy how the hens were just flocking over this rooster. And but yeah, that's and then he took me down the ways, a couple miles down the road where there was someone that was raising roosters. I guess they're also considered show roosters or whatever it is. But they all have the individual TPs. But it was crazy because they were all like tied up to a post, and I was like, man, he's fighting
Yeah.
those things. But
Yeah, yeah, they ain't even showing nothing, man. I mean, people, and not to get us off track so early in the podcast, those things are like they're bred, raised. People sell them in like magazines, there's websites, like certain type of breeds sell eggs, like showing bloodlines, all that kind of
that's what
stuff.
they were
Because
saying.
every breed has a certain style, like of fighting. Like you got power, speed, defense, bro. Like bro, it's a whole thing. Hey, if y'all see me looking up down, so I obviously got a little bit of a camera. We're trying to figure this. Well, I'm trying to figure this thing out. Ray has no patience for this tech, so it's zooming in, focusing, unfocusing. So I'm trying to master the art of okay, looking at the camera, but I also want to look at our eye. So it's just weird. So if you see me, we'll get it figured out. Hey, road to results. This is part of this road, man. We take a
That's
little bit
right.
of a detour to figure out how we can get crispy in all aspects, not just audio and conversation, but some of these visual aesthetics.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's coming along. It's coming along, and for again, and here's the takeaway for for our listeners and for our audience. Right, the road to results is one step at a time. It's little by little. I mean, even in my setup, it's like this is years in the making since the pandemic started. Prior to the pandemic, I had no tech savvy skills of anything. I didn't have a camera. I didn't have a mic. I didn't have a soundboard. I wasn't using Zoom. I didn't even have a laptop. And then once the pandemic came, out of necessity, I needed to stay connected with my students, with all the teachers, with the parents, all the
Yeah,
communities I serve, even the church volunteer work that I was doing. I was like, how can I, just even through the internet, because again, we were locked down in Cali, so it was shelter in place. So all of this was a necessity. I remember doing like a live stream, and I'll put a card up top to my live stream every day during the pandemic, and it was like I'm gonna get up at 7 or 6 o'clock in the morning just to go live and just answer questions. And I was using StreamYard at the time, and I was just like FTIO from the inside out, just sharing and asking questions, doing polls, bringing guests on, just to stay connected with the people. So all
there
the
you go.
stuff that me and Ray got going on, like this is definitely just a work in progress over time. And yeah, it's coming
Every
along, bro. It's
day,
coming along every
every
day.
day,
But you
every
look
day.
crispy. You look crispy. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. So what this week we had relationship development. We had the relationship
yeah.
development, and we had Pastor TJ Tyus on with us, leading the way for that session. And And it's really cool because now that we have cohort 2 coming in, some of the content, which I love, is like a reminder, a refresher, but then it's also like a fresh voice. And for me, the way I've been looking at some of the sessions that we've been having, and again, just to be clear, it's not a exact same content for the new crew and the old crew. Like, it's definitely progressing in content, but what I appreciate the most is that it's hitting me a lot different than when we first started. Like, when we hear the different stories of, or the concepts or the principles, for me now, well, almost 1/4 in the mastermind, it, like you said, I think you've said it in the past, like, it's confirming what we're doing and where we're at.
Yeah.
And also for me, I'm like, yep, I'm doing that. Yep, doing that. Or I found myself, I don't know, and I'm sure you do this a lot too, but whenever a presenter or whenever we're in a workshop, I always find myself saying the words that's about to happen. So when Pastor TJ was saying some things, like, I was saying the answer out loud before he even said what it was, just because I feel like we're that in sync in terms of like vision, in terms of mindset. So every time he was either asking a question or before he finished a statement, Danielle was right next to me. I was just saying, she's like, "Did you hear this already?" I was like, "No, but I already innately know like where we're going with this." So yeah, it was pretty interesting. Just how things hit differently the second, third, fourth time around.
No, there's definitely there's predictability in the process once you actually embrace the process. So as many times as you may hear it, and you hear it from different points, this is why I always tell people, like, your message and whatever it is that you're doing, don't. And some people may take it certain way. When we did the interview with CJ, I was like, like, nobody cares. And from the aspect of that, like, I try to tell people, like, you're not so special that you're the only one going through this, like, whatever problems and stuff that you have. So when you hear these messages and you're saying, like, you hear it differently, whether the presenter or whoever's facilitating it, you hear it differently because it's coming from their perspective on the things that we're trying to do. So when you hear their perspective, but you have the predictability in what they're going to say, it's because the process is the process. It's growth. It's intentionality. It's relationships that are mutual. It's all these things that you're like, okay, this is going to be something different. But when you're, someone's like, have you heard this before? Like, nah, but it's predictable because I'm here with intention, and the message is being delivered with intention. And it's a principle. So we're talking, when they start bringing certain things up, like, when he started that was one of the things, like, he's like, if you're not helping me grow, I was like, they got to go. And he's like, I have to let you go. Like, but over here, I'm like, they got to go. But that's like when we were talking, was it last week before, we were talking about, last week's or the podcast we just dropped, me and Danielle was like, if it ain't mutual, like, I don't want it. Like, they got to go. And like, it's that predictability of the process when you start to understand these principles of individual growth. And this includes the people and the circle that you have. There's predictability in what's going to happen, but it confirms that you have the right thought process on how you view things, on how you view your relationship with yourself, on how you view with the relationships that you allow in yourself, in your personal life, in your business life. And I like how this one came full circle, because now we're kind of, the way the drip is going on with the pod is, the one we dropped was about relationships, and now we're talking about relationships. So even though there's going to be a couple weeks in between when this one gets released and the last one, it's almost like we dropped a podcast and it's a refresher and a reminder and a confirmation that this is what we're supposed to be speaking on. So I like that you brought that piece up. So when people feel like, okay, hey, I feel like I'm hearing the same thing. Okay, but are you receiving it?
Come on.
Are you receiving it, and are you applying it?
Same.
Because if you feel like you're hearing the same thing spiritually, like everything in the Bible is repetitive, and it's repetitive because we stubborn. You need to hear it, and you need to hear it from a different perspective. So that's why you have, you got the book of John, you got all these different books, and it's like the same story, but it's from a different lens.
Yep.
Someone needs to hear it from a certain lens for it to click with you. But we always want to go so deep. I'm like, oh, this
Yeah, yeah,
John the
yeah, yeah.
Beloved. I'm like,
Yeah,
nah, dude, like
yeah, nah,
you needed to
nah.
hear it a different way.
That's
You
right.
know what I'm saying? So go
No,
ahead,
that's
bro.
that's beautiful. Yeah, no, and just a little fun fact, right? Just a little fun fact. Like the Catholic Church, what we do is we have 3 cycles: cycle A, B, and C. And for those who don't know, there's daily mass, so every single day there's a mass, except on Good Friday, and they go through the all the different books in the Bible, Old Testament, New Testament. So it's a 3-year cycle. So in after the 3-year cycle, you actually go through the whole Bible. So every 3 years, every day that there's mass, there's a first reading, a second reading, a gospel reading. Like the system and the structure is set up so that literally, if you follow along daily on your own, if you go to mass every day on your own, you literally spend time in prayer in mass 3 times. Going through the whole entire Bible, Old Testament, New Testament, in a 3-year cycle. And it also reminded me when you were talking about that of Prodigal Son, right? Luke 15:11-32. We look at that story and there's 3 main characters: God, the Father, the prodigal son, and then you have the faithful brother. So depending on where you are in your life, you can relate to maybe different folks.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
are you the faithful brother? Like, have you been faithful and you're like, yo, God, why are you treating, the one who left? Or are you salty, right? Or are you the one who was the prodigal son and left and decided you need to come back? Or have you been the patient father waiting on your child? And I could say from my experience, especially when my daughter left when she was 17, it's the hardest experience Danielle and I ever had. Like, our house was different. She decided that she wanted to leave. She didn't like the structure, right? We weren't getting along. The relationships weren't solid like they are now. And she left. And I really thought about, like, and when I heard this reading in mass in church, it was like, I'm the father now.
Yeah.
I have to be the patient father. I got to just sit here, stay faithful. And when she comes home, run to
Yeah.
her
Run to her.
like the
Yep.
father ran to his son, and clothe her as the queen she is and bring her back in the community the same way she left.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, just to not to go too far, but we all digressing, but just the reality of when things hit differently because we're in different times in our life. And then, like you said, are you ready to receive it? Are you ready to apply it? And then most importantly, are you even ready to share that and spread it? Because I think that's really like what we're doing here on the pod. We're all about like taking everything we're learning and pouring it back in to our community. So yeah, man, that's definitely something that's been on my mind lately as we're going through these sessions, because it's not like it's not like it's anything really new that we're hearing per se, but the way it's curated and the way it's delivered is beautiful. So just to kind of land there with
Wrap it
that
all
idea.
up in a wrap it all up in a bow. Wrap it all up in a bow.
In a bow.
Yeah.
In a bow.
In a bow. Yeah. No. I mean, so it's I don't know how much, man. I think we've discussed this over and over and over. And when we talk about the community of, the UOU Mastermind Group and the community of people that we just keep within, the ETA fam. And we talked about it briefly last night, like fully immersing yourself in that community and in the culture of it. Part of that is that relationship. And they talk about, Pastor Tyus talked yesterday about, your energy. What type of energy do you give the relationships that you currently have? The effort that you're actually putting. So you can have a lot of energy, but are you putting some effort behind that energy? Like, are we being intentional with the things that we're doing in this relationship? Like, spending time with your spouse, spending time with your kids. Like, you have the energy for it, and then what type of effort are you giving it directly? And then the execution. So when you don't feel like it, are you still giving into it? And we're not just talking about your house, we're talking about businesses, the relationships that you have to cultivate in order to bear fruit in this life. Like, we're not meant to be, even though some of us like to ride solo. Some of us like to be, a little more independent, or we say we're not social, but you were still designed to be in community. You're still designed to. So how do you find the energy and the effort behind your position in the community? It doesn't necessarily mean you have to be that outspoken person and out here hugging and loving on everybody. But if you need to be that quiet support role, like, have the energy and put the effort behind being that person. Like, you don't have to have the what is what we're looking for, like the super rambunctious, energetic out here trying to hype everybody up, bringing everybody. You don't have to do that. Just
Flight
understand your
attendant.
role. Yeah, you don't have to be that flight attendant, or even your pilot and be like, yo, y'all need to come here. You need to go there. You need to, like, you don't have to do that, but embrace your role within the community that you're in, and understand that you need community. I mean, man, I think the depression and anxiety, like the suicide rates and everything went up. You mentioned as far as during COVID, when you're trying to go on live every morning, that went up because of the isolation of people. So
Yeah.
we had a couple individuals saying like, yo, I've been on an island.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do I get off of this? It's like, honestly, you've already done it. So sometimes recognize, even if you're like, I don't have a community, I don't have a, bro, you are in a you're in a
one,
coaching
man.
call with 80 some people.
That's
You
right.
here, like,
That's right.
like in our community, like, we talk all the time, like, yo, you in South Carolina, I'm in Texas. But our community, like, we're meeting up in Atlanta this Friday. So
Facts.
don't dismiss and don't think that the community I have has to be something physical. It is just the outlet and people that I can actually lean on in the moments where I do feel isolated. I just need communication. I need someone to bounce a thought off of, and use that as energy to reinforce the relationships that you want. But you have to cultivate, we got to get out of our own way and cultivate relationships that are mutual, and that includes us. When we're mutual in this relationship, we have to give it energy. And I'm not saying, I saw a post today with was Busta Rhymes, man. He was talking. This is like one of those. Okay, this is the relationship I don't want. He was like, "Yo, if I call you, like, there should be no reason why you don't get back to me within, an hour. Like, if you call me back and you text me back 4 hours later, like, I don't need you. Like, hey, bro, no,
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
boundaries. Okay, boundaries, because we talked about that yesterday too. Setting
Yep.
boundaries, like expectation management, but also understand if you have that expectation of somebody, if that is what it is, understand you better reciprocate that same type of energy. So that expectation management, you and I, bro, you text me, bro, I get back to you. People have tears of when they get responses.
He said tears. Yeah. Yeah.
Don't
No,
get me wrong,
definitely.
yeah.
Definitely. No, that's true though. And so two things I wanted, well, a couple things. But the first thing I wanted, like, to highlight of what you just shared, embrace your identity.
Yeah.
So part of my messaging in my workshops and my keynotes is identity, authenticity, and purpose, right? Embrace your identity, who you are. And so I think that's something that is really important, because like you said, people show up in spaces thinking they have to be this way or that way, or thinking that, it has to look or sound a certain way. But I think what's really, really important to remember here, again, this is why we are huge on self-awareness, is because when you have the ability to self-assess on a high level, you can know which characteristic is needed from you in that moment. Do we need your pilot? Do we need your flight attendant? Do we need your grounds crew? Do we need your air traffic controller? And even if those aren't areas where you're limited, how can you make sure that that part shows up, and then you're making sure that role and that role is being fulfilled properly? So like, I know for myself, if there's times where I need some pilot decisions to be made, Danielle's here, I'm gonna go to her first. You're there, you're around, I'm gonna go to you first. Because in that way, it helps me in my blind spot. And that's what I love about the assessment, is that it helps us with our blind spots. So number one, just want to let our audience know, like, yo, when you're in a situation and you're just feeling like you're not sure what to do, number one, just embrace who you are and just be your full authentic self. Number two, you said it, boundaries. That was another big takeaway. And I love the conversation yesterday that Pastor TJ Tyus was talking about, because when I think about everything he was saying, it was all within the realm of EQ, right? He was like, fellas, get, talking about feelings, like stop, having that pride, let your feelings go. He even shouted you out. He's like, Ray, the pride in the pack, right? And he was just talking about how we got to really start, number one, being more in tune with ourselves and being more open and sharing what's going on emotionally with us. So he was talking about the EQ piece. I loved when he talked about boundaries, setting those boundaries. And then the one thing that he said that I was like, this is what we need to do more of. As a father, he said, I go straight to my kids and I ask them to rate me, right? Give me a number. Where am I at as a parent, 1 through 10? And I love this follow-up question. He said, well, what can I do to bring that score up higher? And to be able to, number one, initiate that type of conversation with whoever, family member, friend, business partner, saying, hey, where are my grows and glows? And that was actually the second time I heard that, because in my practice with Soul Shop, we use grows and glows all the time. So he's the only actually other person. Times. Yeah, and I shared that with you. I was like, yo, grows and glows. Like, what areas do I grow at? What areas do I glow in? And so I loved how he was just really bringing it full circle with this idea, like, yo, we got to do better. We got to be open to real feedback, but being mindful of who we're spending that time and who we're getting the feedback from. So step one, make sure you get those boundaries so you got the right people that you're getting the right information from. And when you do get that information, building your own EQ and having your own level of self-awareness to make those adjustments is what's going to get you the results. But as you and I both know, so many people are getting everything from everyone. People are in their ear who have no business being in their ear, and they just start making moves, start like really falling apart because they just letting other people's opinions, other people's thoughts, other people's lives, like you said, comparison.
Yeah. So. And man, this is like, okay, so we're talking about relationships and then also being aware of who you are and who other people are, become aware of yourself and aware of personality styles and who people are and why they may be struggling or thriving in certain areas. And I just say this, and, hopefully he don't mind, but shout out to Dante, new member coming in through, cohort 2. But I just hit him up today, man, talking about cultivating relationships. And so that's how I hit him up today. He's a fellow veteran. And just asking how things were going, how's he doing? And he's like, still getting adjusted to the new life, but it's going very good. I've literally been hacking away at coming up with brand ideas and logos before I move into starting an LLC. So that message right there, what personality style is he?
Oh, flight attendant all day.
No.
Flight and ATC for sure. Yeah. He's planning.
Yeah.
He's planning.
Yeah.
I said, only reason I said logo is because logos are like the experience and like how people feel and all that. Yeah. But ATC
like
sure.
the choice of literally been hacking away at coming up with brand ideas and logos. So he's stuck in the details, like in the weeds of certain things. So, and he's like, he responded, how about yourself? And I was like, yo, have you taken the assessment? He's like, yeah, going back and forth. And then, he's working with somebody, man, cool. I was like, what's your dominant trait? And I was just waiting for him to confirm what my assumption was. And he's like, ATC is number 1. And I was like, bet. So instead of texting, I was like, all right, shot him a voice note. And I was like, bro, hey, if you're getting stuck on trying to figure out a logo and your brand, whatever that, I'm not saying branding as an action is different than talking about your brand and your logo. Different things. Branding is building up, okay, who you are and what you do. The brand in your logo, breaking formation, you realize what you realize, whatever your brand is, like you can do a brand adjustment as you go through. If you're just trying to create a different logo and what people see when they think of it, whatever, color schemes, all that nonsense. But I shot him, almost a 3-minute voice note, just like, hey, bro, like I understand this is what you, but what I do and I like to look at is either the person or the principal? Am I the person for this job based off the principle of how I operate? Pace, results, stuff like that. So when he talks about structure and SOPs and details, don't bother with me with that. But I recognize that and I'm aware, so I look to other people. So if the principle doesn't fit with me, find the person to do it. So I was like, bro, if this is what's holding you up, find somebody else to do it. Build out the structure of your business and move forward. Do you know what your business is? If you know what the business is, build the structure, start now, create your entity, and start moving. Stop getting stuck on what your label's going to look like. And I'm going to see if we can get this over. You know, we figuring this out. I'm just let you know. Let me know if you can hear it. Let me see.
Yeah. So
hold on.
Yeah, good.
Brother, I tell you, you just gave me some of the best nuggets I could have heard today. I am definitely in the weeds kind of dude, and I understand that.
We'll just stop it right there. Yeah, just literally just understanding who he was and why he may have been struggling with that. I was like, bruh, if that's what you're getting stuck on, give that to somebody else. There should be no reason why that's holding you up from launching your company. But if I'm not aware of who I am, because I'm like, yo, bro, I'm on the complete opposite spectrum. Like, I'm going to launch imperfectly before I'm ready and I'm going to go. But what I understand, and again, we mentioned this on the pod that just dropped, you know, so episode 10 for y'all if you want to go back and listen to it.
Yeah. What is it? Not making a decision, y'all.
Is a decision. Is a decision.
Not making a decision is a decision.
Yeah. And we start talking about, you know, recognize that you are all personality styles. But for me and my perspective, a pilot and a flight attendant will create the momentum to get going. But you need the ground crew and the air traffic controller for sustainment of movement. So now we talk, you know, we mentioned the African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Yo, how about we combine that and let's get started now and use the community to sustain the growth and the movement. But if I wasn't aware of that, would I be able to help somebody in the community be like, yo, bro, hey, let me just shine a little light on why you might be holding up. And he literally gave him a little 2-minute voice note. And he's like, bro, that freed me up so much.
That's why, that's why we, again, Road to Results family, this is why we are big on the assessment. This is why we are big on understanding thyself, because it all starts with you. And I love the fact that this is a foundational piece of the UOU mastermind. And it's crazy because not only do we have these moments of, you know, freeing people up, but even in my own, just in real time right now, I've been talking about these last 2 weeks because of the mastermind. I created SOPs because, you know, Anthony Flynn, he gave us some tips, create the SOPs, the job descriptions, even if you don't have anybody on your team yet, or you're not in position. Well, because of that, I actually put some feelers out. I'm working with an assistant right now. Shout out to Sarah Garalde. And we've been in communication. We meet weekly. She took the assessment. She is a high grounds crew, and she has flight attendant and air traffic control. So for someone who is going to be organizing my stuff, getting on the phone, doing the contracts, or doing every other thing that I'm asking, like, and is, what do you need? Let's go. Bro, like literally the assessment has helped me find someone who, number one, can provide and has the skill sets that I don't necessarily want to do. And then number two, she's very familiar with the space that we're marketing to. So not only does her and her husband, like, I mean, we have networks. And so she, you know what's funny though? She said, I would have thought after meeting me, right? Like, and we like had our couple interviews. She was like, I would have thought you had a whole team behind you. She's like, the way I see you on social media, the way I see all the things that you're doing, I really would have thought it was more than just you. I said, thank you. I appreciate that. However, I want to grow and I feel like we want to reach more people, and it's going to take more than me. So using this assessment, understanding the assessment, because now I look at her communication do's and don'ts. I see her opportunities for growth. We were going through it and she was like, wow, this is pretty amazing here. Right. Because we took her through it, and I want her to have the experience so that she can grow. as a wife, she just newly had a daughter last year, Kiara Rose, newly married, right? So younger couple, younger lady, at least in comparison to me and Danielle. But all this to say, because we recognized our gaps, because we're aware. Now, again, going into this, it was like we knew we wanted to go far and we wanted to go fast. And now we know how to do both, which is what you said. And I agree with you. Let's go fast and let's go far.
Yeah.
But let's just learn how to do it. So boundaries, again, self-awareness was a big piece that, we talk about relationship management. And then when you can start with those two, and the boundaries are not for others, it's for yourself. Because the last thing I want to just, touch up on is what you talked about, energy. So when I think about boundaries, when I'm with clients, I go, the reason we have boundaries is not necessarily for other people, it's for us. And what is it protecting for us? It's protecting our energy. Because energy is finite, time is finite. Like if I'm gonna give you the best of me, like when we set up our podcast times, like I know I'm giving Ray my best. I'm not here to just do it just to do it, like because we got to. No, we get to. So the energy that you bring to whatever you touch equals confidence. And if you don't have the confidence, then you are not getting results. So look at just kind of the way Ray is moving, the way I'm moving. Like there has to be those boundaries that actually equal more energy. And that energy will lead in. And it doesn't mean like you said, oh, what up? Flight attendant energy. That just means energy as in if I'm going to be a pilot, I'm bringing my full pilot. If I'm bringing my grounds crew, I'm bringing my full grounds crew. Whatever you're bringing your energy to. And then ultimately, when you look at the energy, then you are yielding or you're getting that confidence. And then when you have that confidence, then you get the results.
Yeah.
Without those four pieces, again, and just to simplify, boundaries, energy, confidence, results. Once you can set those up for yourself professionally, personally, and in all the ways that you need to for your health, for your faith, for your fitness, for your finance, right? 5 pillars, then we can really start moving the needle. And just one last thing I wanted to add before I toss it back over to you when you're talking about your sharing. So Danielle and one of her good friends, shout out to Jenica, they are newly in real estate, high air traffic controllers, and high pilot. Well, Danielle's a high pilot, and then Jenica is she's like a medium flight attendant, and then she has the same flight attendant air traffic score. However, one thing that they're stuck on is they don't know social media. I said, look, no one knows who y'all are. Back to what you said earlier about what CJ said, he was like, nobody cares. Like you could love what you do. you could be good at what you do when you have the opportunity, but nobody knows you right now. Nobody cares. So what are you going to do to be visible? So I gave him a 30-day visibility challenge on social media, Instagram and Facebook. I said, I'm not worried about all the other platforms.
What does that look like so I can put that on my schedule too?
I gave them 30 prompt ideas. They have to do 2 or 3 on the grid, 2 or 3 stories a week. But just get out there, add value. I said, y'all don't have any clients yet, but I guarantee when someone comes and they find your name, they're going to look you up. And if none of your socials have any kind of real estate, if none of your socials have any kind of value in your industry, are they going to want to come to you and do work with you? So their goal is to be visible because they're going to be going to Texas, bro, in July. They're going to be going to a build conference, a real estate conference out in San Antonio. Okay. And so I just told them, I was like, look, here's a plan. I sat down with them because I know their personality styles. So I laid it all out for them. And my job is to keep them accountable. So every single day, they need to send me the link to the post. And so they actually, true ATC fashion, bro, they're getting together to plan out all the content for the ideas, again, I agree. I think that's the best way to do content. But they're like, you want to get together for an hour or two and we can go through all the different post ideas and we can write them all out and plan it. I was like, hey, there you go. That's fine. That's ATC that joker out. But I need to see that. I need to see the post. We need you to get comfortable on camera. We need y'all to start, adding value. Pick your neighborhood that you want to be a neighborhood expert in. I laid it all out for them. But just kind of what you were saying is once people are aware of who they are, then they know what they need. And I'm gonna just quote Ray, because if you want to give more, you got to become more.
Become more. You got to become more.
That's more.
That's the whole foundation of personal development. Like
that's it.
Yeah,
right
I was talking with my clients last night, man. He just like that light click, man. Like a week or two ago. I mean, he listens to us all the time. So shout out to Travar, man.
Travar, right on, my bro.
Yeah. He's definitely that ideal client that you want. But I mean, it clicked, and I'm like, as much as we want to talk about all these other things that you can do, whether it's real estate, whether it's working to get a promotion in your job, whatever it is that you want to do. I'm just talking about some stuff that that we've done or that we're currently talking about. But at the end of the day, if you want to make more financially, you have to increase your individual worth. Jim Rohn talks about it as far as increasing your value to the marketplace. Now, we're not saying that you're not valuable to your family, then we're not saying that you're not valuable in the sight of God. Yes, you are extremely valuable, but to the value of the marketplace, how do I make more? And it's why money is a byproduct of the value that you bring to the market, whatever it is that you do. So how do I increase that abundance? You have to increase who you are. And that's why I say if you want to give more, because at the end of the day, we serve, whether you think you're chasing money or whatever, at the end of the day, you serve in some sort of capacity or another. So if you're serving, you're giving. So if you want to give more, you have to become more, because as you continue to serve in abundance, you're going to receive an abundance in response. It's reciprocal. So if you want to give more, you have to become more. But you can only become more if you know who you are. You want to come say hi, baby? You want to come say hi to the podcast people? Come here. Come here.
Yes,
You're going to barge in anyways. Come here. Come
on.
here.
Come on. She's going to close out the show.
We're going to be on YouTube. Come on.
She's going to... She's like, hold on, Dad. There we go.
Look, she's over here looking wild.
Ooh.
Can you say hi? Can you say
hi? Hi. You know what? She should end this out, bro. Ask her if she'll say, don't just go with us, grow with us.
Can you say that? Can you say, don't just go with us, grow with us? Mm-hmm. No? Can you? We can go swimming if you do.
Ooh.
No? Ooh. We'll go to our neighbors if you do. Mm. Come on. Say, don't just go with us.
When you're done with this, we're going over there.
Only if you say it. This is negotiation.
There you go.
Negotiation tactics. Say, don't just go with us. No, you got to say it loud right here. Like you yelling at me from the other side of the house. Say, don't just go with us.
Don't just go with us.
Grow with us, and then show me your muscles.
Grow with us.
And then show your muscles.
Grow with us. Yeah. Beautiful. All right, y'all. And
yeah, don't let her fool you. She ain't usually like this. So, she acting.
Hey, she gotta start somewhere. Shy. We gotta start somewhere. Yeah. So, as always, thank y'all for rocking with us again. Please comment on the pod, share the pod, rate the pod, as we just want to continue to uncover this mindset journey and get y'all results. So, all right, y'all, we out of here.
Hey,
peace.
Danielle gonna yell at her for not having the energy.
All right, fam. We good.
All right, man.
All right, y'all. Peace.
All right, peace.